Australia lost 22,000 of its own citizens last year. Not to COVID, not to accidents. They literally just left. And they're not coming back. But here's what nobody's telling you. They all discovered the same three things before leaving. The third one is so insane, economists won't even discuss it on TV. While 500,000 people desperately try to get in, actual Australians are fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. Medieval serfs had better rent deals than Sydney nurses. Yeah, you heard that right, medieval serfs. But wait until you hear what Marcus discovered. And yes, this is real economics, not a Netflix dystopian series. Though honestly, it should be. But before I reveal why they're leaving, you need to understand something nobody's telling you about what's really happening down under. Meet Marcus, Sydney nurse. Made $85,000 a year. Sounds decent, right? Wrong. Her rent Actually, wait. Let me ask you something first. What percentage of your income do you think is reasonable for rent? 20%? 30%? Marcus paid 49% for a one-bedroom apartment. Not a penthouse, not waterfront, just walls and a toilet that sometimes worked. To put this in perspective, medieval serfs paid 25% of their income in rent. Marcus pays double that. We literally have worse housing economics than feudalism. Progress. But that's not even the worst part. Australia's economy is having a schizophrenic episode. On paper, they're rich, sitting on $7 trillion in mineral wealth. In reality, their own citizens are so broke they're doing something I'll reveal in a moment that's absolutely unprecedented. 3 catastrophic decisions created this exodus. But here's what they don't want us to know. The Reserve Bank governor, Michelle Bullock, literally said, and this is a real quote, "The economy is in a good place." Now, I'm about to show you a number that'll make you question everything. Ready? Australians are in their 7th consecutive quarter of per capita recession. That's not good. That's economically deceased. They're basically Weekend at Bernie's-ing an entire economy, propping up a corpse and pretending it's dancing. Every economics textbook says, manage inflation without destroying your citizens. Australia said fuck it and chose violence against their own people, against us, against anyone who actually works for a living. Spoiler alert, when your GDP per capita falls for 2 straight years, you're not managing, you're drowning. But they'll never admit it, because admitting it means admitting they failed us. And there's something else they're hiding about those GDP numbers. Australia really said, hold my Fosters, and decided to run the world's most expensive social experiment. But what's the experiment? I'll tell you in a second, but first, while America was recovering from inflation, Australia was speedrunning economic suicide. GDP per capita down 1.5% annually. Housing up 70% in 5 years. The math doesn't math, unless they're doing it on purpose. And I have proof they are. Let's list what they have to work with. Massive mineral wealth? Check. Perfect weather? Check. Educated population? Check. Functioning democracy? Check. Any common sense? That's where things get interesting. Michelle Bullock published a speech titled, "The Costs of High Inflation," while presiding over the worst cost of living crisis in 30 years. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife made of pure audacity. Now here's reason number 1 why people are leaving, and it's something they did to all of us. They kept interest rates at 4.35% for 18 months straight while we literally couldn't afford food. That's like chemotherapy for a headache. They knew it would hurt us. They did it anyway. But the reason why they did it is even worse. They needed to hide something. Something about the housing market that would have crashed everything if exposed. But reason number 2? This is where it gets personal. Marcus sold everything. Her car, her furniture, her Australian dream. To move to, wait for it, Calgary, where it's negative 30 degrees and moose attack people. Why would someone leave paradise for a frozen tundra? The answer will piss you off. Within 6 months in Calgary, Marcus did something that would have taken 15 years in Sydney. When her Australian friends found out, they literally didn't believe her. She bought a house. Bought. Not rented. Owned. Prime Minister Albanese woke up and chose to ignore everything. Net overseas migration, 446,000 in, Australian-born leaving, 22,000 out. The math looked good to them. Population growth. But here's what they're not calculating. The coalition said, and I'm not making this up, we'll cut migration to fix housing, while ignoring that migrants literally build the houses. That's like banning water to fix drowning. They think we're stupid. Are we? Or are they doing this on purpose? The answer changes everything. Their strategy was simple. Step 1. Jack up interest rates. Step 2. Ignore housing crisis. Step 3. Gaslight everyone that it's fine. There was no step 4 because nobody thought we'd put up with it this long. But step 5, that's where it gets dark. Ready for reason number 2? Brace yourself. They turned housing into a Ponzi scheme. The median Sydney house now costs $1.47 million. But here's the part that should make your blood boil. That's 14.4 years of the average salary. In 2002, it was 8.3 years. They didn't just let this happen, they designed it. And we're the ones paying for it. But who exactly is getting paid? That's where the third reason comes in. Watch this timeline of our collective failure. Quarter 1, GDP per capita falls. Quarter 2, falls again. Quarter 6, still falling. Quarter 7, still falling. International headlines literally wrote, Australia achieves longest per capita recession in history. That's not a record you want. That's a record they gave us. Here's the thing about ignoring your citizens. Eventually, we leave. And Marcus was just the beginning of something much bigger. By June 2024, Australia was Googling how to prevent brain drain, while we were Googling how to emigrate. But the search term that spiked 400%? Countries that want skilled workers. Because people discovered something shocking. The OECD called them the only developed nation where citizens are getting poorer while the economy grows. Which honestly, impressive in the worst way. They're literally getting richer while we get poorer. How is that possible? I'll tell you how in a moment, but first, look at this insanity. People earning $150,000 couldn't afford a house. Not a nice house. Any house. When 6 figures means nothing, your economy isn't working for us. It's working against us. And it's working for someone specific. Michelle Bullock went on TV saying, "We're seeing positive signs," while presiding over the 6th consecutive quarter of negative per capita growth. That's like the Titanic captain announcing, "Great news, we're taking on water symmetrically." If you're as angry as I am watching a first world country economically waterboard its own people, share this with someone who needs to hear the truth. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. We need to expose this together. Emma, a teacher in Melbourne, was paying $650 per week rent. Her colleague David moved to Houston. $350 per week. For 3 times the space. But they noticed something else that changed everything. Something they don't want you to know. Fun fact, every failed economy has a "this is fine" phase. Australia's lasted 7 quarters. That's not resilience, that's them betting we won't do anything about it. But we are. David's Houston salary? Actually 10% higher than Melbourne. His quality of life? 400% better. Because he discovered what they tried to hide from us. It's not about earning more. It's about keeping what you earn. And they've rigged the game so we can't keep anything. 3 things happened in 2024 that exposed their scam. The third one, when you hear this, you'll understand why they don't want us talking about it. First, rental affordability hit its worst level ever. Perth renters now pay 31% of income, up from 20% just 4 years ago. That's a 50% increase in misery. Our misery. Their profit. Second, GDP grew 1.0% for the year. Sounds good, right? Wrong. Population grew 1.7%. We're literally getting poorer per person while they claim growth. That's like gaining weight and calling it muscle. They're lying to our faces. But the third thing, this is where they cross the line. Ready for reason number 3? This one's the killer. They're running a population Ponzi scheme. Import 446,000 people to keep GDP positive while each of us gets 1.5% poorer annually. It's genius, evil genius, and we're the marks. For context, that's more people than the population of Canberra arriving every year. Imagine adding an entire capital city of people annually while we all get poorer. That's not an economy, that's a magic trick where our money disappears. But where does it go? Here's where it goes to exactly 3 groups. Property investors who own multiple homes, banks collecting interest on impossible mortgages, and the government itself through taxes on inflated property values. They're literally profiting from pricing us out. It's not a bug, it's the feature. Michelle Bullock claimed the economy turned a corner in December 2024. Plot twist. It was turning into a wall. Our wall. The one we're about to hit. Turns out you can fake economic growth by just adding humans. Who knew? Oh wait, every Ponzi scheme operator in history knew. Australia just did it with an entire country, with us as the victims. Now here's where our people started fighting back. The exodus accelerated. Scientists leaving, doctors leaving, tech workers leaving, even the mining engineers in a mining country leaving. When your mining engineers flee a mining boom, we've achieved peak dysfunction. We went from lucky country to fucked country in 1 generation. That's efficiency. Their efficiency at destroying our future. Remember Marcus? She bought a house in Calgary. Bought after 6 months. Something that would have taken 15 years in Sydney. Her Australian friends think she's lying. We literally cannot comprehend homeownership before retirement anymore. Meanwhile, Jessica, an engineer from Brisbane, just closed on a house in Austin, Texas. 3 bedrooms, pool. Half the price of a Brisbane apartment. She's 28. In Brisbane, she was told to wait until she was 45. Let me break down the math that broke our dreams. Median Sydney house, $1.47 million. Median household income, $102,000. Years to buy a house, 14.4. Years in 2002, 8.3. Chance of us millennials ever owning, laughs in landlord. But here's the calculation they don't want you to do. If salaries matched housing growth, you'd be earning $287,000 right now. Where did that money go? Michelle Bullock now admits some households are under pressure. Some? Some? That's like saying the Titanic had some water issues. We're not some households. We're an entire generation being priced out of existence. When our nurses flee to Canada, our teachers to America, our engineers to Dubai for affordable housing, the economy isn't working for us. It's working against us. But wait, here's what they don't want you to know about what happens next. Today, Australia could buy half of Europe with their mineral wealth. We can't buy a garage in Sydney. That's not irony. That's them hoarding wealth while we scramble for scraps. Now New Zealand's trying to copy them. The UK too, they're all in on it. It's like they're all reading from the same playbook, the one where we lose. Every country trying this fails the same way. They all missed one thing. They think we're trapped. They think we can't leave. They think we'll just take it forever. They're wrong. Just ask Ahmed. Ahmed was a software developer in Perth. Was, now he's in Berlin. Same job, remote, half the rent, better healthcare. And get this, he can actually afford to eat at restaurants. Revolutionary concept. Michelle Bullock? Still employed, still claiming success, still presiding over our exodus. That's not accountability. That's them rubbing it in our faces. If a desert nation like the UAE can house its citizens better than a continent-sized country with infinite resources, what's their excuse? Spoiler, they don't have one. They have a plan, and we're not in it. The best part? They're still doing it. Right now. As we speak, while we're watching. They think we're too divided, too tired, too broke to do anything about it. But Marcus, Emma, David, Jessica, and Ahmed proved them wrong. And here's how we can too. Lisa from Adelaide has the best advice. I left the country I love because it doesn't love us back. Best decision ever. We can't fix their housing crisis, but we can do 3 things. First, calculate your rent-to-income ratio. If it's over 30%, you're being scammed. That's not an opinion, that's math. They're math working against us. Second, look at countries that actually want us. Canada, USA, even parts of Europe. Yes, Europe has better housing affordability than Australia. Let that sink in. They treat their people better than we get treated. Third, the thing they really don't want you to know? Geographic arbitrage. Earn in expensive currencies, live in cheap ones. Work for their companies, live beyond their reach. It's not tax evasion, it's us taking back control. Right now, Canada, UK, and New Zealand have the exact same conditions as Australia in 2020. Same housing crisis brewing, same denial, same mathematical impossibility. They're all hoping we won't notice the pattern. The difference between broke and free? Free people move when the math stops working for us. Broke people stay and hope they'll change. They won't change. We have to. You could literally leave tomorrow. Most of us won't, but we could, and that terrifies them. Here's the ultimate truth bomb. Once 50,000 Australians leave, their pyramid scheme collapses. We're at 22,000. The countdown has started. Tick-tock. Rachel just got permanent residency in Canada. From temporary visa to permanent resident faster than she could save for a Sydney deposit. Because one country's loss is another's gain. Their loss, our gain. Tom's starting salary in Sydney, $92,000. Rent, $42,000. Savings, 0. Denver salary, $78,000 USD. Mortgage, $28,000. Savings, actual money. Math is beautiful when it works for us, not against us. Remember when I said 22,000 of us left? That's 22,000 of our most productive citizens. The ones who build things, heal people, teach kids. They think it's fine. Do we? Those 3 reasons for leaving? They're being copied right now. The UK with their housing crisis. Canada with their immigration Ponzi. New Zealand with their brain drain. It's like economic stupidity is contagious. Or maybe it's coordinated. Michelle Bullock was wrong about everything, except one thing she said recently. Migration is essential. Yeah, essential because we're leaving. Even a broken clock is right when it's describing its own failure. We can keep paying 50% rent in a country that's gaslighting us, or we can be the ones smart enough to do the math and move. Our call. Oh, and Marcus? She's helping 20 other Aussie nurses escape to Calgary. Emma's creating a Facebook group for teachers moving to Texas, 12,000 members in 3 weeks. David's running webinars on US work visas, sold out every time. Our exodus isn't ending, it's organizing. And they still think everything's fine. That's not optimism, that's them betting against us, and they're about to lose that bet. Subscribe if you're tired of watching rich countries economically abuse their own people, our people. Comment below which country you'd choose over staying in this mess. Because at this rate, it's not if we leave, it's when. We deserve better. And now we know it. And more importantly, now we know where to find it.